employment, income, and freedom. So those are my general goals as I interact or as I lead this conversation this evening. My name is Andrew. I am an author of the book, You're Not Just an Employee, that I authored in 2016. It has been around for some time. And I am a job success tutor. I am a teacher, and I love to help people understand employment so that they can succeed. I'm also the employee and employer relationship expert, especially the non-legal side. I'm interested in making sure that this relationship between the employer and employee is stronger for both business purposes and for also the people who play in this relationship. I'm also the creator of the Entrepreneurship concept that asserts that your job is your enterprise. And it has been built for over 5 years now. And there is a 46-hour course about entrepreneurship for employees. So that is me. I have interacted about this topic, especially where people are interested, because there has been a lot of talk around financial freedom, making enough money that can sustain you for life. There has been a lot of discussion around this topic. And so people have been wondering, okay, there is a whole lot of other people in employment who might want to do the same, acquire a lot of money, for example, achieve financial freedom, but they are in employment, and employment doesn't seem to give this as an option. So I have interacted about this topic in a few photos that I have shared on that will be shared when the presentation is up.
Hi, Andrew.
Yes, Darius.
Please confirm that you shared the presentation. The email hasn't come through.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. I've resent. So from the few things that I have outlined, the work I do, perhaps you have noticed that I am pro-employment. And I want to present maybe the extreme side of the employment side. And if we have maybe two extremes, then we can have a balanced discussion around which option would be better, or what else exists, especially for people who choose employment. So I am pro-employment. I also believe that employment is a reality that we cannot kill. It is here with us. Maybe 1,000 years from now, there will still be people who are employed. And perhaps before COVID-19, statistics showed that over 3 billion people worldwide had chosen employment as their choice, or maybe not their choice, but something that they thought would be the source of their income. But unfortunately, employment does not fit into the ideas of financial freedom. When we talk about financial freedom, the ability to accumulate a lot of financial resources that can take care of your living allowances for as long as you live. So when you look at employment, it probably doesn't provide that option of making as much money as you can, as accumulating wealth or financial resources that can last or can pay for our living allowances throughout our lifetime. So the world's response to financial freedom, or what I call the financial freedom movement, has been to make people who are employed uncomfortable about their choice. And sometimes maliciously. Sometimes it has given us very powerful entrepreneurs, but sometimes it has been done maliciously and has destroyed a lot of esteem. Financial freedom movement sells a promise. It sells a promise that we can stop worrying about our basic needs or being able to foot our basic needs if we denounce employment as an option. In other words, if I am to summarize it, they seem to suggest that employment is a bad financial decision. If you want to make a good financial decision, you better become an entrepreneur. And this dedicated focus on demonizing employment has prevented the world from searching for solutions and relentlessly searching for solutions to enable those who are employed to access what we have defined as financial freedom. But in this presentation, I want to present a view that might be different and might be new to what we have had so far. I am in the business of selling knowledge or earning from what I know, from the ideas I share. And having lived this life for the last 6 to 7 years, I want to challenge you whether you have ever thought of the possibility that the financial freedom movement might be a business model that is not ready to reveal any ideas that could weaken its grip or the grip it has on the masses. So what if there is another side of the financial freedom that we have not actually looked into? And that's what I want to throw light on in this presentation. And also ask, that when we ask, how can the employed achieve financial freedom? Are we really asking the right question? And what should the question be? So financial freedom is defined as having enough money to pay for your living expenses. Enough money to pay for your living expenses. And some definitions add having enough financial resources to afford the kind of lifestyle you want or you have ever wished for. So that means that you don't have to work anymore if you don't want to. If you woke up in the morning and you just feel like you don't want to go to office, you have the freedom and your life will go on normally. You choose what kind of activities you will engage in. That's the power of financial freedom. You are also living in a kind of paradise where you don't have to work to be happy. This is financial freedom. And some of the ideas that financial freedom or the dream that financial freedom promises. And this is nice, this is amazing. And just to put a disclaimer that I am not here to put financial freedom down. I am here to present an alternative view so that you as an audience can hold a discussion about these two sides, maybe with the idea of what the employment side is like. So usually the financial freedom message, because we can achieve all this freedom from work, from having to work to be happy, some of these messages that the financial freedom movement has pushed forward has been that if we encourage everyone to try entrepreneurship, it is the silver bullet to financial freedom. In other words, if you became an entrepreneur, or if you adopted the title of an entrepreneur today, then you have the hope that you can achieve financial freedom. It is the only formula, and it works. When we remind them about how they won't have to deal with their bad boss in entrepreneurship, maybe our audiences will listen. And I am talking about the messages that I've had about financial freedom. The other message is the only way to have financial freedom from having to work for existence is in entrepreneurship, kind of insinuating that everyone should be an entrepreneur or can be an entrepreneur. The other message is we know everyone has insecurities about money, and this is true. There isn't enough. We can't make enough. Even those who have much of it are still hunting for more. So the message goes that financial freedom is what we need. If you see it from a business angle in the knowledge industry. So if we know that everyone has insecurities about money, and if we say that then you can make more, then people are going to jump onto this message, sometimes without scrutinizing the depth of the reality or the truth or the certainty that the dream it promises is truly true. Everyone can achieve it. So then the question becomes, is it financial freedom or bills freedom? Allow me to repeat that. Is it financial freedom or bills freedom? And by bills, I mean all the things we pay for in order to have our life running normally every day. So are we trying to pursue financial freedom or freedom over bills? And if we look at it from the angle of bills, that is something that can be achievable even for an income earner. But if we look at it from the financial freedom and the definition that I gave you earlier, then that means we have to work consistently and achieve more, and consistently achieve more. After we have met our needs, then we have wants, and then we can work endlessly. But if we look at the bills freedom, then probably there are bills we can do away with. And I thank God that I live in the 21st century where some of these solutions are already with us. So what do I call bill freedom? It is the non-cash approach to meeting your living expenses. In other words, even if you did have the money, you can still eat, you can still sleep, you can still have electricity, you can still have water, you can still live a decent life. So this is something very interesting that my dad once told me, and it changed the trajectory or the direction of my life and how I plan for my future. He said to me, that you should never let anyone control you over things on which your life runs, over things on which your life runs. For example, all of us as human beings in a day, we need to eat. So if you let anyone control you about food, then you're setting yourself up for maybe some, what I would want to call or something that is different from freedom. Water, we need water every day. Sometimes we get sick. We need to be healthy. If anybody is controlling you on these basic needs of life, then they hold the keys to control you. And yet, when we talk about freedom, we are talking about freedom to do and choose what we want. And I have been so lucky to have a brother who has built a home that is not connected to any of these things. So much so that umeme has its pole in his compound, but he's not using electricity. And even though it has taken him time, but I know right now, he doesn't need umeme, he doesn't need national water, he doesn't, when it comes to food, yes, he has not grown his own food, but he's figuring it out. And I am talking about looking at a life where your bills are not more like a dangerous animal that is waiting to eat you up if you don't attend to them. And so he has built a home over time that runs on solar electricity. And over time, he has figured out how to harvest his own water. And over time, he has invested in energy saving equipment. And I say over time, because I am very sure if he stopped working today, if he wasn't an entrepreneur, he doesn't have a business, or he doesn't have the blood or the stamina to start a business and run it and make it successful, at least the home he has built will supply his basic needs every day. Or even if he grew old, this home is not going to demand him to wake up every day, go searching for money just to make sure he pays the water bill. So is it financial freedom, or we can figure out how to create or to live in homes or places that give us some bit of holiday around our bills? So until now, the only way to achieve freedom from bills has been to increase one's income. Well, if you want to achieve this freedom, you have to make a lot of money. And if you're not able to make this much money, then consider yourself somebody who has failed. And so when it comes to employment, when a bigger salary comes, find a business to invest, because that's the only way to have freedom over some of these needs of life that demand our attention every day. But what if, instead of pursuing accumulating money, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be a goal, but there could be someone who internally knows or privately knows that this is not something they are ready to do, okay? But what if you invested in a self-sustaining home that needs no service provider to run? In other words, no one knocks at your gate asking for bill, or delivering a bill, or cutting you off on this, on that. What if we can have build over time a home that needs no service provider to run. How about that? Can't we then make money that we can then use to fund the lifestyles that we need? That is a thought that I want to leave with you. And let us imagine that we grew old. Would you really need to work to pay for water, for electricity, for food? If you have invested over time in a home that gives you holiday over your bills. So my last slide about maximizing employment income, and I've just been sharing a perspective that I thought maybe it could improve the decisions that we will make in 22. But here are my last thoughts. Maybe you don't have to invest in a side business if you do not have the ability, if you don't feel you have the ability to run a business for now. But in technology that will give you a home or a holiday over your bills, what if? People make and lose money every day. And what if the unsaid solution to freedom is finding solutions that don't need a secondary tool to work for us? Remember, money is a tool. It helps us buy or pay for a life that we want. It is not the real thing. It only helps us to access the real thing. For example, a comfortable home. For example, light. For example, water to drink. What if we focus on having what money is meant to get for us and in a sustainable way? Don't we allay the risk of losing the tool, which is money, and what it's supposed to get us? If we made sure that we have figured out solutions to make sure that our basic needs are met, then money as a tool is no longer something we have insecurity about if we didn't have it. My final thoughts is I am presenting an extreme side of the employment side to compare with the existing financial freedom idea so that we can have a balanced conversation around supporting everyone and including everyone in achieving freedom and making financial decisions that help them to access a better life. Thank you very much. Over to you, Darius.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew, for the thoughts, for the discussion. Unfortunately, the email didn't come through, so that's why I didn't share. But probably you'll share the slides, and I can send them to the attendees via email after the session and also on our WhatsApp groups. So right now, I'd like to hand over to Charlene Chirabo, who is going to moderate the Q&A session. Charlene, over to you.
Thank you, Darius. Good evening, everyone. Let me begin by thanking Andrew Senyonjo on behalf of the entire team at BCG. Thank you very much for the insightful discussion and the wonderful ideas that you've shared with us. And I want to believe that everyone on the call has really picked out something. And some of us maybe who have always had negative thoughts towards employment income, probably our minds have been changed. So it's time for our question and answer session. I would encourage you all to send in your questions through the chat, or you could raise your hand and you would be given permission to ask a question. Though for some questions that had come through earlier, we have one from Peter Ndugu. He's asking, can an entrepreneur be an employee? After 7 years of entrepreneurship, I find myself not fit for the career world. Andrew, over to you. You could be having the best answer for Peter.
Thank you so much. I know we are having categories. If I am in employment, it is a different world. If I'm entrepreneurship, it is a different world. And the pursuit or what we pursue in employment is perhaps promotion, climbing the career ladder. And that has been the conditioning in the employment world. But let's go back to basics of making money. And I tend to believe that for anyone to make money, or what in employment they say, be paid, is only when you have something that you're offering or something that you're selling. I'm sure employment may not define it as something you're selling, but I have taken time to develop this idea to help people be able to define exactly what is it that you are selling this company, that it finds it fit to pay you every month. And if you have known what you're selling, then you're able to improve it, you're able to brand it, you're able to sell it better. But what I've found is many people do not know what they are selling, because employment has not been structured that way. The employer is the person who gives you what to do. And sometimes that will give you reason why they're asking you to do what you're supposed to do. So when you find consultants who are freelance, they're actually selling skills just like any other employee. They are selling knowledge just like any other employee. And their attitude might be different because of the environment they work in. But if you have an entrepreneurial mind and take your skills and knowledge as an asset, as a product that is sellable, and you're working in employment, your trajectory is going to be totally different. Even though the legal framework that guides the employer-employee relationship may not support you to do certain things in there, but trust me, your trajectory will be much more different than a normal employee who shows up just to do what they have been asked to do. So entrepreneurship is more of an attitude than something we do, than a title. And anybody can have this attitude, and no matter where they are going to be different. So on that question, those are my thoughts. I hope I have opened it up a little for more discussion, or I have closed it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. I hope Peter's question has been answered, and at the same time, answering many other people who would have had the same thing in mind. So someone else is asking, how best can one balance both entrepreneurship and employment at the same time? Probably this is because most of our employers need us full-time, that even our weekends, we use them to do their work. So we literally never get time for our own ventures. So how best can one balance both?
Thank you very much. It is, I think, a question that comes up every time. And I'm not the person to share tactics or a list of things, because I know these change with the environment, they change with a lot of, when the situation changes, some of these might may no longer work. And the reason why I said I'm pro-employment is not because I only talk about employment, but because I want people to maximize. If you have decided that you are going to make money or live a life in employment, that from the word go, you are there as an entrepreneur who is there to sell your service. So when you talk about balance, that means you're doing employment, which is full-time. And as you have said, we are doing the employer's work and also running a side business. building a business takes a lot of time, a lot of sacrifices, there are many stories that entrepreneurs don't share. Having to negotiate with your landlord when you have areas, having to go days with dates. There's so much that goes into entrepreneurship that shows you that if you were to run a successful business or build one, you actually need to be there and figuring it out every day, which is often difficult. Some of the solutions on the market have been that you use your salary as capital and slowly transition to a world of business, because you need to build people. You need to build a culture. You need to figure out your financials every day. You need to figure out whether it is working or not. There are so many things that employees do when you're not around. So you need to be around. I wouldn't support balancing. I would support transitioning slowly to your business. But also the other alternative is that you can probably look at your job as a business or an enterprise. And this is a very wide discussion or subject that I've built for now 6 years that we can engage in. Seeing your job as the enterprise, not just an alternative, but as the enterprise. How do you do your job as the enterprise? Those are my thoughts about that. I hope I opened it up a little. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Andre. I hope Frank has been answered. Then we have Gamma Saimo, who is asking, how best can you make good use of your employment career and retire financially independent? Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you. Financially independent. As part of my presentation, I presented the view that even though employment, you can rise in levels, always the money you get in employment will have a ceiling. There will be a point beyond which you can't be paid. And so if we are looking at financial freedom or retiring as financially free, and the challenges I have had people who are retiring face, especially on cash flow, they are not able to foot their daily expenses. That's why I shared the view I shared in the presentation about pursuing bills freedom. Freedom from your bills, building a home, building a life that gives you a holiday about your bills, and then your money can find ways to do other things when you retire. That has been my input through the presentation that I'll share after this session. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. Probably one last one. Let's say someone is venturing into the self-employment, not part-time, I should say, or starting up a business. What factors could you give someone, our listener out there, to consider when venturing into a business? Because we have scenarios whereby, let's say, Charlene, I want to start up a business, and Andrew, you're doing well, let me say in the food business, or you're selling clothes and you have boutiques in Kampala and they are booming, you're making a lot of money. And I assume that this business is making money. I decide to come into the business, and not even 5 months, but 2 months down the road, all my money is gone. So how would you what factors do you think someone should consider when they're starting up a business, a side business? What should they look at?
Allow me to share a few thoughts. One is there are so many secrets that business people won't tell you. There are so many things that people do that they will never share with you for reasons best known to them. Either if their customers knew, they will stop buying from them, or there are things that are very, very personal that they can't share them publicly. So when you rush into a business and you just see it on face value, trust me, it has its own secrets. I had a sister-in-law who did, I think, home economics related to catering. And so she wanted to make cakes, but the cake she wanted to make wasn't financially viable. And yet the same cakes that looks like hers were being sold in shops. From the business angle, you may not know what they put or the ingredients and how they calculate those ingredients in those cakes, but you need to find out the unsaid secrets. Figure out how to get this information, because every business has them. When somebody is delivering milk from far away to Kampala, there are things that they do that you may not know. If you just wake up and go and gather milk and start delivering it to Kampala, you may find that your milk goes bad even before it has reached Kampala. So figure out those secrets. The second and last thing is the heart of an entrepreneur is quite different. And you can always sense who is an entrepreneur and who is not. Who is an entrepreneur and somebody who is simply technical. Sometimes the assumption is that if we have the money, then we can invest it somewhere and then it can make money. There are decisions that entrepreneurs do. For example, you will need to hire people and fire them. You will need to make hard decisions or face your fears. Your landlord is chasing you out of the building you hired. You need to figure out, KCCA is coming along with licenses, taxes are coming. You need a heart that is completely different from just being told what to do in employment. In employment, you're so protected. When trouble befalls a company, every employee will not be running around. They will not be scared because it's not any of them. If an organization has something that pushes an organization owner to go to court, for example, or to prison, employees are protected. They are safe. They're acting on behalf of the organization. But as an employee, as an entrepreneur, you are exposed to all the risks and all the pains that come with building a business. And so I feel those two areas need to be evaluated very well before you invest your money or before you make losses. Thank you.
Very amazing thoughts in there. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that. I think we have come to the evening of this session, and I would like to thank all the members who have had a date with us. Yes, thank you very much for participating and for calling in. I really hope you have learned much from this. Just in case you joined in midway when Andrew had already started with his presentation, no worry about it. Just go to our YouTube channel and follow up with the session and other sessions that you missed. The YouTube channel is Personal Finance with Darius. And just in case you haven't yet joined our WhatsApp community, whereby we have such discussions and more running throughout the week, you can inbox Darius directly. He's going to share with us his contacts. Otherwise, thank you very much. Over to you, Darius.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlene, for moderating the question and answer session. And thank you very much, Andrew, for responding. Andrew, I know what you've shared is slightly new to us, someone encouraging us to be in employment. A lot of question marks, but we are going to digest this information definitely. And I can assure you that someone's perspectives have been changed today. And we hope that as we continue to apply and digest these concepts, you can be sure that you are making an impact. So thank you very much for your thoughts. Thank you very much for agreeing to share with us. And thank you very much for sparing your time. So for the members, once again, I thank you for joining. We do hope that you found value in today's session. We do hope that you are going to apply what you've learned today. We do hope that you're going to think about your employment life and how that relates to the discussions that we always have on our WhatsApp forums. So ask yourself, is this real what I'm interested in? How do the insights that Andrew has shared apply to me? So I do encourage you to go and reflect about your employment life, about your entrepreneurship life, and see how you can take it forward. As I close, I also wish to thank the Ultra Club of Rubaga for having partnered with us to have this session delivered. We thank you and we hope to continue this relationship with you. I wish you a nice evening for everyone that was part of this session. We look forward to seeing you on the next session. Thank you very much. Have a great Sunday evening.
Thank you.
Sorry, Andrew, someone was asking where they can get the book. I realized you didn't talk about the book, as well as leaving your contacts behind for those who would like to get the book, just in case you're still on. Okay, Andrew seems to have already dropped off the call. So what I'm going to do, let me type his number in the chat, and if anyone needs it, you can always